Oh.
Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Triple P, TRIPPLE and I am your astrology pimp, your astrology prophet, and your astrology priest. And today's 7 Seals astrology video prophetic topic will be an all around sea guy can get a lot of girls. So again, as usual, I am going to rehash this once again. All of my videos are usually in some context, one way or another, one shape or form, is about knowing who you are. And once you know who you are and you are confident who you are, the sky is the limit. So again, the reason I'm creating these videos in the dating manosphere is because I feel, again, there is an imbalance in the dating community. There has been, uh, I don't know what happened over the years, but for some reason, men have lost their way, men have lost their value, and men are no longer the prize. So that came along again with the modern society, information, the internet, things of that sort. Women back in the day, they were only able to actually uh, get in contact with a very minute amount of men. Say, for example, let's say, for example, a girl was maybe a 5 on the Richter scale, and then she's maybe a put together 7, you know what I'm saying, a workable 7 or a workable 8, because you could go from 5 to, almost anything these days. But anyhow, but back in the day, the girl only had access to the local men in the community, the guys in the school, the guys at the workplace. Those were the guys who she had access to, and then that is where she got most of her validation from before the internet. However, due to the internet is actually, again, giving women a lot of inflations, egos, self-inflated, false selves, false identification. Women now think that, again, women who are a 5 at best, they think that they are a 10, or they naturally sometimes think that they deserve a 10 just because they are a woman and they don't necessarily do anything for it. And again, I am not mad at women. I love women. I guess you guys understand. I love the nature of women. However, I have a discrepancy with men. The way men have become, have lost their way, and they no longer value themselves as seeing themselves as something or someone to be adored and someone to actually be looked at as very valuable in a relationship, because now men have actually turned all of their attention on the woman. And so this has actually discouraged a lot of men. And again, that is why I am creating these videos in reference to the dating field, so that there could be some type of restoration or balance. Because I believe that game is the ultimate equalizer. A man that has game, a man that understands the nature of a woman, that man actually stands a chance to actually get almost any woman. Again, I did not say every woman, I said almost any woman. In fact, a man should not want every woman. He should only desire a select few or none if he cannot find the women that actually meet the standard requirements, or at least at a caliber that he actually desires. But again, most men tend to settle for much, much less than they actually deserve. And this came about again because women have actually raised the bar. And now, again, as you know, there may be at least 20% of the guys that get 80% of the women, and 80% of the women want only 20% of the guys. So again, who am I making these videos for? I am not necessarily making these videos for the guys that actually already was fortunate enough to charge in the Tyroons. These guys could learn something from it too, as well. All guys, any guy, all even advanced players could learn something from each other, again, because iron sharpen iron. However, I am rooting for the underdog. Most of the videos are in reference to the guys who actually have become discouraged, who feel that they do not have the value, the self-worth that is needed to actually accumulate one, two, three, or multiple women for that matter of fact. However, that is who these videos are generally directed to. Again, all in the game could learn something from each other. However, I am trying to build some type of confidence back into the men that have actually lost their way and have lost their identity to the disintegration of their self-weight and their self-value and their confidence, all because women have now distorted the playing field. Is now no longer a equal playing field and is now somewhat imbalanced, whereas the women far exceed the men in SMV, again, sexual market value, because most men don't know who they are, what they are. They will stand for nothing and they will fall for everything. So again, the title of this video is an all-around guy who is a C can get a lot of women. You have, for example, you have A-list actors, B-list actors, C-list actors. I'm not quite sure how far down the tier it goes, but again, I know they have A-list actors. A-list actors are the ones who get most of the money, the high-paying roles, high-paying jobs, and that sort of things of that sort. Then you have B-list actors, B-list singers, and stars, and so forth. And the same thing applies to men as well. You have the men that are on a A-list caliber, the charts, the Tyrants on a 10 alpha male, all around male. We're talking about a holistic, all around guy that looks the part, sounds the part, walks the part, talks the part, is intellectual, he's smart, he's funny, you know what I'm saying? He can lay pipe, he's financially stable, he's independent. I'm talking about an all around guy. I'm not just talking about one particular guy that has one or two traits and he suffers in all other areas. Because one of the things you guys will notice is that one of the things that I try to teach you guys is to see women through the eyes that they see you. Because when you see women through the eyes that they see you, only then you will be able to actually set some type of standards and actually have some type of set boundaries and so forth and so on. Because if you do not know how women see you and you try to approach them like a man, then you would just be thirsty as normal, like every normal guy, just go and approach a girl because of how she looks and how she sounds, how she walks, and that is all she needs. But again, women do not see men in that way. Women look at a man holistically. A man does not have to be the tallest, the sexiest, with the most money and all of these things. However, if he meets the requirements in just a few boxes and the boxes, the standards are high enough, that man stands a chance. That is why I'm saying, if you're a guy and you are all around a C level guy, you don't have to be an A in all areas. You don't even have to be a B in all areas, because if you are a C in all of the areas and you take off all the boxes, you could get pretty much almost any woman that you want. That is why I'm trying again to build the guys' confidence who may not feel that they have what is necessary. And what most men don't understand is because most men were born naturally with all of the actual elements needed to attract women. They just don't know any better. They believe that they need, again, the 15, 15, 15. They believe they need all of these things. They need to be 15 foot tall, $15 trillion in the bank, and 15 inches of wood. That is not accurate. You only need to be good enough to get your foot in the door. And what I'm saying is, I'm not telling you guys to just be good enough and settle. I am saying this for the guys who do not have the confidence and do not think they have the value needed to get girls. I am talking about the guys who are kind of like shaking in their confidence and they may be scared in their boots and they are knocking in their boots that they don't necessarily believe that they could get girls. These are the guys that I'm talking to. That's because I'm saying all you need to be is a C. I'm not saying that you should not evolve to become a B tier man or a list man as well. However, if you are a B all around guy in all of the boxes, money, looks, status, humor, whatever else, sexual, sex appeal, style, uh, confidence, arrogance, whatever the case will be, all around. All you need to be is a C. Which reminds me, when I was in college, sometime back 1,000 years ago, I remember them always saying that C gets degrees. That was something that I remembered, and I took that with me throughout life. Way back in the day when I was in school, I remember when I first started out, I was not as confident, but I remember hearing that C's gets degrees. And so therefore that stuck with me. And if you guys apply that knowledge to your everyday life, all you need to do is pass and you could get a degree. However, what happened to me, just speaking from a more historical perspective, when I was younger, I'm just going to give you guys some more in reference to academics, how confidence grows. When I was a lot younger, I grew up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the ghetto, if I may say. However, I was still a ghetto fabulous child. I was still fortunate enough to be in the ghetto and still have parents that were more financially stable than many. So I still was well groomed, well kept. I still had most of the designer clothes, the designer things that other kids that may have been in more affluential areas they may have had. I still too had many of these things. So, however, despite the fact that I was again in this environment from the ghetto, from the hood, I still was fortunate, very fortunate enough to have the parents that I had and to treat me in a certain way, to have a certain amount of standards for myself. And I basically always had, so I never really needed anything. But the moral of the story was the majority of my peers, they were not so much into academics. They were not necessarily the smartest guys on the blocks. However, in the ghetto, in the hood, back in the day, everything was about the drug money. I grew up with the drug boys. Everybody back then, it was all about getting the Rolex watch, getting the 300ZX, whatever the case may be, the 5.0 Boss Mustang. Back in the day, we're talking way back in the day, Mustang green and gold, the big body Bronco, you know what I'm saying, the roly-poly, you know what I'm saying, very roly on the Submariner. That is what I grew up with. That was all a man that I knew. That is what I grew up around, the 600. They didn't even have 650 back then. The 600, in fact, they didn't even have 6 back then. 6 came a lot later, but you understand what I'm saying? So the ninja bike and things of that sort. So my peers were all consumed with money. Money and bitches. That's the type of man that I grew up around. Partying, drinking, smoking, having a lot of fun, dressing up to every party, every weekend, every club, blah, 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 popping bottles, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. I was doing that at a very, very young age. So the majority of my peers, again, were not academically inspirational for me because of my environment. No one really cared that much about college. No one, I actually don't think I actually knew anyone who actually went to college when I was growing up. So what happened to me was I grew up, I went to a public, primary school or government primary school, but I had academic potential, and I went to I was given the opportunity to go to a private school. And what happened was, because of my ignorance, I felt that, you know what, for one reason or another, I felt that I would not fit in. I went to school, I actually took the examination, went to orientation, all of that good stuff. I'm talking about moving into a tier, a caliber of people, of individuals, of students that was on a much, much greater level than my peers were financially, their status. These were the type of kids I was going to be around. But again, because of being in the environment that I grew up with, thinking that all I needed to do was get a Rolex watch and get some bitches and look fly all day and all night. That is what I thought was the ultimate goal. So I actually went to school the first day, and then I actually went to orientation and didn't want to go back again. Maybe also I had some type of insecurities because I felt that maybe I was not going to be able to make it, maybe because I was not so confident in my academic skills, and I kind of maybe felt somewhat inferior. Somewhat subconsciously, something made me feel that I would not fit in, so I kind of wanted to go back to the government school. This happens all the time. So anyhow, the moral of the story is, so I went to a government school, and then I graduated high school, and then I went to pursue. I pursued a I went to college. I took a class. I didn't get a degree. I took a class in some computer science thing. I passed that. Then I went and I took a class, another course. Again, these were courses. And then I took a course and I got graphic design course. I got an A inside of the computer application science course. This was way back in the day when computers were not so prevalent, when computers was the new thing. I actually had a Commodore 64 and the hard floppy disk. This is way back in the day. Most kids don't even know what I'm talking about. Commodore 64, VIC-20, shit like that. So, but anyhow, the moral of the story is that I took these few courses at a college and I actually got A's. I never thought of myself as being an A student because, again, I was maybe feeling somewhat inferior about my academic abilities. However, I was not, again, giving myself the credit that I deserve. And then again, I was in an environment where school is not necessarily the thing to be, looked at as the all be all. So again, not having the inspiration from the friends and the peers and not having examples, I kind of just, shrugged it off as the life is going to be always this way. Money, bitches, hoes, Rolex watches, and cars and bikes and all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? But I did not understand later down the line, this was going to catch up with me to some degree. That is why if you see guys in school right now, when you see the guys in school who are actually the nerds, we tend to look at them and laugh at them to some degree. And that is another one other thing that I forgot to say. When I was in high school, I actually had the potential to be at least a B student, but again, I always wanted to settle to being a C student. I felt that the C students was exactly where my peers where they were at. I didn't think that I needed to be a B or A student. In fact, I always looked at the A and B students as nerds and geeky, and all of us have done this in the world, all around the world. We look at the smart guys or the smart girls as, they're geeks and whatever. However, later down in life, most of the time, most of us end up working for these guys at some point. They end up having big jobs, becoming bankers and real estate agents, and the list goes on and on. Big jobs, CEOs, owners of businesses, and so forth and so on, because they started out that way. But again, if you are on the lower level of academics, we tend to look at those guys or like, freaks, and they're not cool because they don't have the best this or they not have the best that, because they're the prefects in school. You know what I'm saying? We kind of don't really associate with those guys and girls as much. So in high school, that's how I saw being a B or A student. I always settled, and I could have done better, but again, I didn't think it was cool to go get an A or a B. But again, after graduating and I took these two courses out of college and I actually got A's, I was kind of like, okay, that's okay. I was a little somewhat impressed with myself, but I didn't really think too much of it. But then after some time, not too long after, I went to a technical college, and that was the only thing that I actually did in my life that I actually started and I didn't finish because it was very extremely complicated. I was doing some electrical work. It was like all these diodes and resistors, and I had to understand, how to read this and read that schematics and this and that. But my mathematics was weak at the time, and so that would made it really difficult for me, because anyone who knows about electricians and electricity, you need to know numbers and you need to know how to read a meter, ohms, and all of this shit and so forth. So I was dealing with schematics with diodes, resistors, and capacitors, and all of this shit, electricity and positive and negative. And at that time, I did not have the mental capacity and the confidence to believe that I could do it. So that was the one thing that I actually dropped out of school. Probably after 7 months, 6 months, or whatever the case, I did drop out. But the moral of the story is I'm going somewhere with the story. I was still considering myself to be a C student. I did not necessarily think that I was capable of being a B student or A student. Many years later down the line, I went to school and I went to college to become a drug and alcohol counselor. And lo and behold, I really wanted to do this. I really felt that I would be good as a counselor. So I put a lot of energy into it, but I was still not academically confident within myself, again, because of coming from a very weak academic background, especially in math. Many of us are actually weak in math, and that is what I was also as well. I was weak in math, but however, I still went to college and I said I wanted to become something other than Playboy of the Year, all of this shit. So I said, you know what, I'm going to pursue academics. And so anyhow, what happened was I actually maybe a year in, I can't remember how far it was, a year in, a year and a half in. I went to the student council or whatever the place where the where you go to find out about your grades or pay tuition. I can't remember, some center or place or whatever the case may be. I went there to look at something. I can't remember what it was, why I went there, but when I went there, I was blown away. The actual minimum requirements to go to stay in college at that time, if I remember clearly, you had to maintain like a 1.5. You had to get a 1.5 to stay in college. You could not get anything less than a 1.5. Some colleges may require more, and some colleges might require maybe less. I'm not quite sure how low and how high the requirements are academically. However, when I went in the office to find something out, if I remember clearly, I had a 3.0. I was like, what the fuck? How did I do this? It was because I put so much work and effort in trying not to fail. I was weak in math. I went to the fucking the where they call where you get the tutoring stage, the tutoring laboratory, when you go and you get tutors to help you with the. I was in there almost every day. I could have writ, I could have wrote, I could have write, I could have spoke, I could have speak, I could have talk, I could have think. All of my classes had something to do with psychology, going to be a counselor, drug and alcohol counselor. I took all type of classes dealing with psychology and communication and things of that sort. I had that down pat. If you guys notice, I could talk. You understand me? My vernacular is spectacular. You understand me? So I could actually speak to some degree. I'm not saying that I speak on some English Yale level per se, but I actually could, dot my I's and cross my T, and I could be more efficient if I actually put more effort into it, but I don't really go into that degree. It's just that I kind of got trained to some degree to, again, like I said, dot my I's and cross my T's after being in school for X amount of years. But anyhow, so what happened was when I saw that I had a 3.0, I could not believe it. I was actually flabbergasted. I was like, what? Is this me? How did this happen? Because now I went from being a guy growing up afraid of school, afraid of academics, afraid of challenges, always thinking of myself as a C student at best. Now when I look at my transcript, at my college transcript, I have mainly B's and A's, a few C's, but I could not believe it because I put in the work, I put in the effort, and all of this is related to the game. All this is related to guys in the game who are trying to get women who only see themselves as a C guy. They have to put in the work as well. So after I actually got the transcript and noticed that I was a 3.0 student, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. I have way exceeded the requirements to stay at college. I graduated and I was so confident that I actually went back again for a second degree. I went back to get a psychology degree, and I would say to be open and to be open with you guys. I did not graduate the second degree only because something happened in my life, and I had literally had like 20 more credits. Literally, I mean, I was 20 more credits away from getting a second degree, and something happened that threw me off, and I never went back. And the only reason I had 20 more credits because I left my math class, what I always struggle with. I left those subjects, my most difficult subjects, for the last. But I knew if I actually went to get the help back in the tutoring lab, like I did always, I would have been able to get that second degree as well. However, I only have 20 more credits to go back. I could go to any college for the most part, and who would accept the transcript and accept the credits and actually pursue. So they might accept some, they may not accept some, but I have actually, like I said, was 20 credits, not even maybe 20 credits, literally two different levels of math class, might not have even been 20 to graduate to get a degree in psychology. But anyhow, so what I'm saying is I had to put in the work. I put in so much work and I put in so much effort. I actually over exceeded my actual, the way I saw myself. I never thought that I could actually achieve those things, like I said, to the point to where I actually went back to pursue a second degree. And actually, after something happened, I actually went. I started to work in some other job and was not even related. I did do some work in that field as well, with kids and different things of that sort and so forth, and drugs and all that stuff. I did do some work for some time, but I ended up doing something else because I had a passion for graphic design and other things of that sort. And that is the way it is. Most individuals would go to college and they would actually go and do something else what they actually went to school for. But the moral of the story is that I saw myself as a C student at best, but I put in the work and I became an all-around BA student. And that is what I'm trying to tell you guys as well. If you are a all-around C student, just like how I put in the work and I became an A student, a B student, you could put in the work and actually, if you put in the work and you actually become an all-around C student, you will be qualified to get about just any bitch. Just about any bitch, because you're going to be overall complete. You're going to be overall able to actually satisfy a woman's hypergamy. That is what I'm trying to tell you guys. This is good news. You do not need to be a 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 all around guy. You just need to be good enough. I'm not telling you guys to settle and always be only settling for being good enough. But however, I'm saying to you, if you are a B, sorry, if you are a C, let's say for example, if you are a C in the area of looks, you might not be the most attractive guy, handsome guy, but you are okay looking enough. Bitches would not necessarily reject you. They don't see you to be repulsive. You actually look okay enough for them to just stand in your presence and look in your face and look in your eyes without actually being disgusted. You are a C guy, that is good enough. You do not need a goddamn nose straight like a goddamn pencil. You don't need a jawline straight like a goddamn T-square. You don't need all of this shit. You just need to be good enough. So if you have at least average looks, a C look, handsome wise, you are actually enough to get in the door. If you have C level money, you have an okay job, making enough money to take a bitch here and there every now and then for a little dinner and a little movie here and there, a little something here and there, buy the bitch a little place here and there, buy the bitch a little Christmas present here and there, buy the bitch a little something every now and then, a little Valentine, and it's not going to kill you. You could still survive to take care of your bills and your responsibility. That is enough. You are a C-level financial man. You do not have the financial status to take the bitch to Dubai every year. You cannot take the bitch around the world to Africa, Japan, and Spain, and Italy, and all that shit. You do not have A-list status, financial celebrity status financially. You are a C-tier man, a regular 9 to 5 guy, but you maybe make just more than the average guy, above minimum wage, maybe enough again to look okay enough, to dress okay enough. You have enough finances to dress okay enough. You don't need to have the Versace on all day or money on all day. You could just have on a casual polo shirt, some jeans and some tennis and some socks and some shoes, or whatever the case may be, at the budget that your money could afford. Just you look okay enough. Once you need to be a guy that actually could coordinate colors, you don't want to be a guy that actually puts on a goddamn polka dot pants, a goddamn checkerboard shirt, and a goddamn pinstripe hat. You don't want to be fucked up looking like a goddamn puzzle. You understand me? You want to be at least actually coordinated. A purple shoe with a purple goddamn hat or something of that sort. Purple shoe with a purple pants or a red shoe, red pants. Whatever the fuck the case may be, you understand what I'm saying? Your colors have to actually be somewhat coordinated. So you don't have to actually have on the most finest and the most expensive shit. You just need to be at least fucking acceptable to go out in public with the bitch, to whereas the bitch don't think that you look like goddamn Steve Urkel with some goddamn suspenders and some goddamn pants heist up to your goddamn knee. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to be a goddamn fashion goddamn model. You just need to have some type of style, a sense of style to your dress code. Then you don't have to be the best in bed. You just have to be able to make a bitch goddamn come once or twice, and the bitch is gonna be happy. She don't really care that much. What sense it make? Would you rather have a goddamn fucking 15-inch bitch, 15-inch dick, and the bitch can't come, or you rather have a goddamn reasonably enough dick to make the bitch come fucking 5 times? Which is much goddamn better? You understand? I mean, you have a 15-inch dick but can't even goddamn rise because you have some kind of fucking disorder or sexual fucking dysfunction or some bitch. You can't even hold a solid fucking erection. You can't even stamina. Your stamina is goddamn 2 seconds fucking long. You fuck like a goddamn chicken. What the fuck you think a bitch want? A fucking 15-inch fucking dick with a nigga that's fucking standing for 2 seconds and that's it. Or a nigga who come on the scene solid enough to fucking ride until he die. And you know what I'm saying? Make the bitch bust at least fucking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Whatever the case may be. Even one time is good for some bitches. Some bitches have never even had an orgasm before. So at least even if you get the bitch to bust one, you're still in the game. So you don't even need to be the best fucking, bedroom bully and all that shit. So now imagine now you have a minimum, you meet the minimum requirements of looks, you meet the minimum requirements for nasty, you meet the minimum requirements of dress, finesse, all that shit. You have charisma, you meet the minimum requirements, you might be somewhat funny, you meet the requirements, you know what I'm saying? You have a masculine frame, you might not be the most barbaric, coldest motherfucker in the world, but you can still stand that ground, you know what I'm saying? You don't need to be a nigga out there trying to fight the goddamn whole world. You can stand up on your own. You're not gonna let be pushed, but get be pushed around for motherfuckers. You can stand up and fight if you need to fight. You know what I'm saying? That might not be your first choice because you're not really a street nigga, but the moral of the story is you're able to hold your ground. You know what I'm saying? You're funny, you're charismatic. You know what I'm saying? You can fight. If you need to fight, you need to protect the bitch. You know what I'm saying? You make enough money. You look okay. You know what I'm saying? You have enough, a little bit, at least a little bit of intelligence to where you could read a book if necessary. You know what I'm saying? You can at least have some kind of little vocabulary to spit some shit at the bitch. You could actually have a conversation with the bitch friends, the bitch family if needed, the bitch co-worker. You don't need to be the most intelligent motherfucker, but you need to be able to talk at least once or twice when you're with the bitch because people are going to think you're weird, you can't speak or you don't talk or you associate antisocial or some bullshit. So the moral of what I'm trying to sell you guys is you don't need the whole total package. You do not need to be 10, 10, 10 all around the goddamn clock. You just need to be in the game long enough, and then once you get your foot in the door, and let's say again you work on all of these areas and you have a little bit of goodness in this area, a little good in that area, a good in that area, it's going to be very hard for a bitch to reject you. I guarantee you, if you actually, again, if you are a C guy in all of these areas, it's going to be very difficult for a bitch to reject you. It's going to be very difficult for you to not be able to get multiple bitches because most men do not have that much things going for them in general. Most men do not have all of those boxes checked. What most guys fail to realize is they think that because, this guy may be extremely tall, you know what I'm saying, they think that's going to be enough. They believe that that guy, because he's tall, he's going to get all the bitches. He might be tall, but he may be dumb. He might be tall, but he can't fuck. He might be tall, but he's not charismatic. He may be tall, but he's not fucking romantic. He might be tall, but he's not masculine. You understand what I'm saying? Some guys might have fucking goddamn money. You can have all the money in the world, but you're not masculine. You're not fucking sexy. You can't dress. You're not funny. You don't have fucking, you know what I'm saying? You don't have a little swag about you. You could have anything. What I'm saying, you could be the most handsome guy in the world, and you still could be a goddamn geek. You could still not be a fucking sexy motherfucker to the bitch because you have no sex appeal. You don't know how to talk to the bitch. You don't have any confidence. You don't know what to fucking do. I would rather be a motherfucker that have all a little bit of everything that have one that be a fucking one goddamn trick pony. You know what I'm saying? And then when you pull your one fucking card out after you show the bitch your one card, what the fuck you get next? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So most guys are actually all around C guys in general. Some guys do not understand because they think they need to be more of a B guy and an A guy. You do not need all of that shit. You just need to be an all around C guy. Work on your looks, work on your appearance, work on your job, work on your attitude, work on your academics. If you need to go back to school, go to school. If you need to take some classes, get some more education, read some goddamn books, build your vocabulary. Like I say, my fucking vernacular is spectacular. You understand what I'm saying? So anyhow, back to what I'm saying. So this is what you need to do. And if you do this for yourself, you would be surprised to know the amount of women that actually would not be able to resist you. Because when they look at you at first, you might not be, the knight in shining armor that they expected. But when they look at you and, like I said, because you're a C guy, handsome guy, you're just good enough for them to look at. But when they actually talk to you, then they say, oh, okay, he could talk too. Okay. And then when they look down at you from head to toe, oh, he could dress okay too. Okay. Yeah, okay, then maybe when you get some pussy, oh, he can fuck okay too. He don't fuck the best, but God damn, I could bust up a guy could come. That's all that matters to me. I've had motherfuckers who jump up on me all day for 2 fucking hours and they didn't do it for me. Okay, he could talk. Okay, he could read. Okay, he could teach me something. Okay, he have some game, especially if you get some game and you could educate a bitch with some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and give a bitch some instructions. You understand what I'm saying? Motherfucker, goddamn, you are now priceless, and that's what the fuck I'm trying to tell you guys. Do not shoot for the extreme, trying to think that you need all of these things for fame. Unfortunately, no, you do not need all of this shit. You just need to be enough. And then when you come to the point where you now get your foot in the door, as time go on, you can continuously work on yourself, work on your appearance, because we have what we have. You cannot really necessarily change the height of you unless you go do some big drastic knee surgery, or you could change the look. You could go do some surgery if you like and work on your cosmetics and so forth. You can change the look, but for the most part, most guys are not going to really do all of that. Women tend to do things like that, but for the most part, most guys, whatever you come with, that's what you have. That is what it is you came with. That is what you have. So the best thing you could do is embrace what the fuck you have and try to enhance whatever you have to the best of your goddamn ability and accept the fucking things that you cannot fucking change. Like they say in the serenity thing, the serenity prayer. Help me fucking accept the shit I cannot fucking change and change the things I can't fucking change. And that's what the fuck I'm trying to tell you, young players, today. You just need to come on the scene good enough. And as time goes on, once you have your foot in the door, I guarantee you, if you continue to build on yourself, if you might be slightly overweight and the bitch accepted you because you had, certain criteria, you was academically okay, you might have been smart, you could have been charismatic, you might have been masculine or whatever the case may be, but you was a little on the heavy side, chubby side, you know what I'm saying? And imagine now you decided to go to the gym and lose a little pound or two, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? Do a little workout, get a little bit of muscle, whatever the case may be. Now you get a better job, making more money, you know what I'm saying? Build your wardrobe up. Now you could buy some of the Versace and some of the other shit. Now what you think is gonna happen? That bitch is gonna love you more than fucking ever before. And on top of that, if you did not have any bitches, you're gonna be able to get a higher grade and a higher caliber of bitches. So that's what I'm saying. Get one foot in the door, build your confidence, just like me when I used the academic story. I did not think that I was academically a B or A student, but actually after I got my foot in the door and I put in some work, I became more academically satisfied with my abilities than I actually thought I was qualified to be. And that is what I'm trying to tell you guys as well. Once you have one foot in the door and you get one bitch, you will start to develop some type of self-confidence yourself. And if you get a bitch, especially if the bitch is maybe a 7, 8, 9 or something like that, you can probably pull a 10 too, because you're going to be an all-around guy. Because if you are an all-around guy, you're going to be able to satisfy the bitch hypergamy. And the bitch is become more, the bitch is going to become more feminine. The bitch is going to become more, submissive and things of that sort. The bitch is going to want to help you in areas of your life and try to help you improve and things of that sort. So your confidence is going to get more elevated as well. So that's what I'm saying. And so believe it or not, let's say for example, I'm going to give you guys an example. Let's say for example, you pull a bitch who was a 5. This bitch is a 5 at best. She might not be the best looking bitch. Let's say she's a 5 or a 6, maybe 5.5, 6, but she's okay enough. You find her to be sexually appealing. That is all you really need. And for me, that's one of the requirements. You have to be at least sexually. I don't care that much. I mean, too much in the face of you. I prefer, you know what I'm saying, but I don't really prefer a particular thing, but say I like who like me, but I need to at least be sexually attracted to you to want to fuck. At least I need that. I can't have it to the point where, if I don't want to fuck you, then that's not going to work. I don't really care. I need that sexual, because that's going to give me the masculine frame that I need to be in, to speak to you in a certain way, to flirt with you in a certain way, to play with you in a certain way, and to fuck you a certain way as well. I need to be inspired to fuck you. I'm not going to fuck you like just for fucking sake, just like one of my boys who say, pussy doesn't have any face. That is not my style. That's not my game. You need to be at least I need to be at least sexually attracted to you to some degree. And so that is one of the requirements as well. However, again, let's say for example, you get a bitch who is like say a 5.5, 6. You find her to be sexually attractive. She has a nice body or something like that. She might not be so much in the face, whatever the case may be, but she has a nice personality. You understand me? She's kind. She's compassionate. She's sensitive. You know what I'm saying? She's feminine. She's submissive. You know what I'm saying? She's emotional. She's caring. She cares for others. You know what I'm saying? She's supportive. She supports you, whatever the fuck you want to do, and your goals and your dreams. She motivates you. She stimulates you. You know what I'm saying? She got your back and all this shit. I guarantee you that bitch, after a period of time, if you get a bitch like that over a period of time, what's gonna happen is that bitch came in the picture. You thought that bitch looked like first when you saw her, you said, man, fuck. This bitch look like she goddamn just escaped from the goddamn Kalamazoo. That's what you first thought in your head when you first saw the bitch. But over time, that's gonna change. You're gonna say, fuck. When I first met this bitch, you could have swear this bitch looked like she belonged in a fucking cage in Jurassic goddamn Park. That's what you first thought in your head. Over time, that is gonna goddamn change. When you first saw the bitch, you thought to yourself, man, this bitch looked like she just caught the goddamn boat fresh from fucking Madagascar. You understand me? But after the bitch fucking be around the bitch for so long, and the bitch, like I say, shows that she's a sensitive bitch. She's a caring bitch. She's a kind bitch. She care about you. She care about others. She care about your family. She care about your friends. She care about the goddamn cat and the dog. She'll even take the fucking rat in and help the rat if you fucking tell her, man, look, we need to save this rat. She the bitch will put him out to the fucking the rat and get them out fucking recitation fucking and all that CPC and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of bitch I'm talking about. The bitch is compassionate, kind, and loving and caring and supportive and all that shit. Over a period of time, when you look at that bitch again, that bitch is gonna go from a 5.5 to a 6. That bitch is gonna look like a goddamn 10 to you. No bitch is gonna be able to stand up to this bitch. I do not give a fuck how much the fine bitch come and say they want to take you away. You know what I'm saying? Yes, that could happen too, because you know you could fuck up and go for looks, because I did it before too. I fucked up that way too. Go and check my video out, Choosing Signals. I give you guys a big story about how I fucked up. You know, I had a girl doing everything for me, cooking, cleaning, and all this fuck for years and years. You know what I'm saying? Without tears. And I went and fucked up because I found some girl that I thought was a unicorn, this beautiful little young thing. I kind of threw it all away because I found some girl that I actually was more thinking that this is the type of bitch that I really, really wanted. And that is, you know, don't let that happen to you. That is why I'm trying to tell you guys, if you guys who get a 5.5 or 6 and that bitch does everything in her power to make you goddamn happy, that bitch loves the goddamn dirt you walk on, motherfuckers, you need to settle with that goddamn bitch and stick with that goddamn bitch and work with that bitch. If you get the money, you could put some money into that bitch and help that bitch get the enhancement she needs. If her ass is not big enough, you could fucking go and spend some goddamn money and get the bitch a goddamn ass. If the bitch fucking lip is not full enough, you could goddamn go and get the bitch some goddamn fillers or whatever the fuck you need, some Botox, whatever the fuck the bitch need to actually rise to the occasion to become a fucking natural fucking 8 or a natural goddamn 9 out of the box. You could bill a bitch if you have the goddamn finances. You could put money into a bitch and make a bitch become the prize, make the bitch become a natural goddamn 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's what I'm saying. It's best to actually get a bitch who's a 5, a 6, and actually loves you and fucking putting all this effort into you, and you in return help the bitch to become the best bitch that she can become herself. So again, if you get a 5 and that bitch is actually not on the level and she does not meet the criteria standards that you might be looking for in the original beginning, however, when that bitch demonstrates all the values and the characteristics of a real fucking sensual, caring, loving type of bitch who loves you and fucking wants to be with you and who listens to you and who doesn't give you any shit, who doesn't argue with all that bullshit, over a period of time, you will love that bitch like you will love that bitch like goddamn fucking motherfuckers like pork chop. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. But the moral is, if you become the 5, you could get just about any fucking girl, because the same way that bitch who was just was a 5 in one particular, she might have looked like a 5 or she might have looked like a C. She had a C look. She had a C look and she had C characteristics or B characteristics all around. That bitch became a 10 in your eyes, and that is the message that I'm spitting at you guys today. That's what you guys could become as well. You guys could go from becoming a C guy to a fucking B guy to a fucking A guy if you put in the goddamn work. You're willing to put in the time, you're willing to put in the sacrifice. You guys could fucking do that and get just about any bitch. So don't let guys fool you into believing that you need to be an all-around goddamn fucking Chad or Tyrone or a fucking goddamn fucking guy that looks like goddamn, I can't believe it's not goddamn butter type shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to look like goddamn Fabio at his fucking best. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to look like goddamn Tyson Beckford and fucking at his best. You know what I'm saying? You don't need all this shit. You just need to be enough. And whenever you have enough, work on what the fuck you get. Try to become the best you can be. And as you continue to increase and fucking rise in your value and your SMV continues to increase, then you'll be able to get more fucking bitches as well. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna end this goddamn video. And as usual, I thank you guys so much for watching. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe and all that goddamn good stuff. And if you all so far, please, 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 please stop believing in illusions, delusions, and hallucinations. Triple P, and I'm out.
Oh.